Okay, in this one, I'm going to show you how I made this abandoned factory render right here. I started out with some modeling, which in the beginning section, there's a lot of very simple but pretty effective tricks that I did to get some basic models of railings and platforms and pillars and the industrial structures and stuff around the scene. All that stuff came in really handy later on in the render, and it's kind of what the scene is made of. So I actually recommend watching the modeling section, at least most of it. But there's timestamps below if you want to skip around too. And also, one other thing is I went out of my way to just use only models and textures that I could put in a free download. So there's a link below if you want to download the blend file. I've always found that really helpful for just getting a better understanding of how scenes like this are made. So there's a link below if you want to get that. It's free. And then, yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. I hope the rest of it's helpful. Okay, so I want to make something in that style of the Destiny 1 starting area. I was just thinking about that randomly, and I think I want to make that. So like old abandoned factory vibes. I think that's kind of what I'm going for. First things first is I think I'm going to try this older layout that I was using before, like a year ago. I think this might actually be better. It just gives me a little bit more space instead of the vertical viewport. This gives me a horizontal one, which is going to this just makes more sense. So I think I'm going to just try this out. And then down here, I can switch between the shader editor and the asset library as I need to. So that kind of makes sense there. And then we've got the UV editor up on the left, another viewport on the left over here. So that's going to be in rendered view from the point of view of the camera, just so I can see what's going on in the scene as I add stuff around like this. So that's kind of how that's working. And then the properties panel right here and the outliner on the very right. And then this I think is going to be the most efficient way to go about this. And then if I need more space to look around, I can just get this out of the way. Okay, so the idea that I kind of want to start out with, I'm just going to start making a couple props and then block it out with those. I don't want to spend too long just modeling stuff, but I want to spend a little bit of time just so I have some little pieces to work with. So I was actually just watching a video of some dude playing Destiny right before this, just to kind of get some basic inspiration for what I want to do. So I'm kind of thinking I want to make this little, I don't know what you call this, a grate panel thing. So I'm just going to make some little things that I think would fit into like a factory aesthetic, and then just go with it from there. Just go from there and kind of see where this takes me. So I'm just going to do array. Let's just kind of put like 50 of these in a little thing. Okay, maybe not 50, maybe like 25. Do 32, nice and simple. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna have some panels like this in kind of a row, I think. Let's maybe shrink this down a little bit, and we can probably just apply the array, and let's just join that together as one little thing. And then I also want some railings too. So for that, I don't know what the best way to do this is. Let's do a cylinder. I'll just do like 24 or like 16 vertices cylinder. Shrink that way down. Let's just move that off to the side. So there's two pieces that I want. One is kind of like this. I'm gonna actually use the spin tool for this one. Let's just try that. So spin tool, if it's not showing up where you want it, just try moving the different axes around up here. So X, Y, or Z, one of them will work. And then you just move the cursor to where you want it to spin around, and then that will just work. And then you can hold control to snap it to 5-degree increments. If you don't see this thing, by the way, you probably have to turn on this, whatever this icon is, the gizmo thing, and then it'll show up. And then you can just move this around with these arrows here and get it kind of in line. There we go. Okay, so I'll do that there, and then let's just extrude that out. It doesn't need to be perfect proportions. I just need to get a rough corner, and then we can kind of just extend this to however big it needs to be. So I think something like that, and then let's just do a quick mirror modifier on that, and then I could just kind of in edit mode do that, turn on clipping, delete the end face, and then just slam that together. Okay, nice. And maybe let's just bring that a little bit closer. So that's kind of one piece there. Let's just do another little thing like that and just kind of get that in there. Just very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. Just gonna bring that like right there. Cool. We got one little railing. Let's do another one with something else. So I was kind of in that video I was just watching, and some references I was just looking at of some random factories and stuff too. One that they were showing was like one that I saw in just kind of some various things was this right here. If I just take a cylinder, just move that over here, I can take the mirror off for now. Actually, I'll leave that on. We'll leave the mirror on for a second. I'm gonna do that, and then let's like duplicate this, rotate it, and let's kind of have this going around like this. Let's do the spin tool over here. So I'm gonna grab this cursor down here, find my spin tool, and let's just bring that out like that. I want this one a little bit bigger, I think. Let's just start bringing this down a little bit more like this, a little more rounded off. Extrude that down a little, and then I can probably just mirror this top to bottom. I'm actually going to separate this one out. So let's take this whole chunk, Control L to select any linked geometry, P to separate the selection, and now we have two different objects here. I can actually just hit the Z mirror, and then let's just bring that down a little bit, and somewhere around there is going to be kind of what I'm thinking. And then these, I'll just connect that up like that, and that is nice. Now I can just kind of slot that in right there, and that's going to be ideal. Let's just shrink these down a little bit. So in edit mode, bring that in slightly so it's not intersecting as much to the other one. Shade those auto smooth. I think this one actually should be a little thinner. So one way to thin out a pipe type of shape that's curved is actually to just hit Alt S, and that will let you shrink it up and down this way. So I'll pull that in a little bit like that. It's a little bit more reasonable. We can shade smooth rather than auto smooth, just so it's fully smooth the whole way around. And then if I want, I could do another one of these in the middle or not. It's kind of whatever. Maybe I'll do like, let's do like one on the end and then one kind of like there. It's kind of, it seems right. Not really using references. I probably should be, but whatever. This one I'll try and make the same kind of size as well. And I feel like this should be a little bit more rounded off, but maybe it's not going to be an issue. So I might just leave it and then just Alt S, shrink that all down a little bit, shade smooth, and now we have a couple of railings. Could do some stairs as well if we want, but I might not worry about that yet because it gets kind of annoying. Okay, let's just apply this stuff here. Just apply all these modifiers, and then let's join all that together, and then just apply scale on both of these. One thing I will do is set the origin point to the bottom. So first of all, let me just set origin to geometry. Just to make sure it's centered. Oops, that still has a mirror. Set origin to geometry after all modifiers are applied. And then what we can do is turn on affect only origins and just bring that down to kind of like the bottom right there. And then that's going to make it a lot easier to move it around and like snap it to the floor when it's when I'm like duplicating it a bunch. So we can just do that there. I can apply scale, shade smooth. If it's not really like doing what I want with the shading, I can just add a couple more loop cuts if it needs it. But I think we're looking good there. Don't want to spend too long on just a random railing, so let's get that out of the way. And this is looking good. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Do we need anything else? Maybe like some crates or something, or some scaffolding would be helpful. Let's do a couple of scaffolding little things. So I'm not using references because I have made a bunch of these kind of things before, and I don't mind getting it like not fully right for this one. Like I want it to just roughly be the right vibe, not fully realistic. But if it's your first time making like this, any kind of new thing, you probably want to go and just look up some pictures of the kind of stuff you're making. So if you're making this kind of stuff, for example, just Google like old abandoned factory and just find some cool images of some stuff that has the kind of props that you're looking to make, and just kind of copy that. Okay, so here I'm going to extrude, right click to not transform it, and then just scale it down like this. So that's going to be kind of the base of what I want. Let's just put that into like a square formation. So one there, duplicate one over here, try to get this sort of centered on this grid here. Duplicate, rotate, and you can make some very simple shapes by just duplicating a few pieces that you model. I'm going to show you one trick now you might not know to get things to line up perfectly. If you hit G and then Z, say I want to move this so it's perfectly in line here, there's actually a hidden movement control to snap this to that. And that is when you're moving it like this, like if I hit G, Z, I'm now in the movement control thing, I can actually just hit B on the keyboard, B. That lets me choose a snap point. So I can actually choose anywhere along the bottom edge here, click, and I can actually just now snap it to any other geometry in the scene. So that means I can just snap it to right there. So when you're doing it quickly, it looks like this. It looks like G, Z, B, click, drag it to right there, snap it on, and now it's perfectly aligned. So that's really helpful to know, to just be able to quickly get things in place. And you can see just how helpful that is to just snap it on like that. Something I didn't know until recently. Okay, let's do that. And then, I don't know, let's just duplicate that into a square. Just kind of lining it up with the grid and doing whatever feels right. Here, I guess I should do, let's just duplicate, rotate that, line it up here. I can just scale that up. I'm trying to just keep this pretty in line, but it's all right if it's not perfect too. Like if it doesn't line up 100% accurately, it's okay. As long as you're not going to see it, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm just going to get these kind of in line here. Same thing up here. And then let's do some crossover kind of ones going horizontally, or sorry, diagonally. So let's bring that there, rotate it like, yeah, 45 degrees, scale it up. I'm just hitting S, Z, and then Z one more time to scale it up on its local Z axis. So S, Z, Z to do that. That looks correct. Let's duplicate that. It's overlapping in a weird way, so we'll fix that in a second, but let's just rotate it 90 degrees, and that looks good too. Now let's line this up so that it's not clipping through that other one, and that seems all right. There's a little bit empty space there, but it's not going to be a big deal. Sweet. Let's take that, and let's just duplicate that around. So one thing I might do is let's just put the cursor, so Shift S, cursor to selected, that'll just put it into the middle of these four pieces. That means I can take these two guys right here, go to 3D cursor as our pivot point, so it's now pivoting and rotating and moving around that wherever the cursor is. So I can just put it back here, Shift S, cursor to selected. Take these, Shift D, right click to cancel. Actually, if you want to be super efficient, you can actually do that in one action. So Shift D, don't do anything. Don't click. You can move it around, but just don't click. Then if you hit still while this is after you have hit Shift D but not clicked, hit RZ and then 90, then click. So that was all done in one action. The duplicate and rotate done in one action means you can actually hit Shift R, which will repeat the last action that you did. That'll do that again. Shift R to repeat it again. That'll do that again. It's actually useful if you're doing like something where you're rotating it like a little bit. So say I have a piece like this, I want to rotate it in like a circle. I can duplicate, rotate a little bit, and then just spam Shift R to get that all the way around in something like that. So it's a useful shortcut to know. All right, so we got some scaffolding now. I'm going to take two pieces of this, two variations. One is going to be this. So now we have another piece that we can use. So that I'm just going to try and line up a little bit better there. Sure, that's all right. Maybe squish that in a little bit so it's overlapping, but not too much. And cool. I don't want to see that in the front though, so let's bring that back just before that happens. Okay, this I can now join together, apply scale. All this I can join together. Control J. Let's set origin to geometry. And then let's just pull the origin point down to the bottom as well. I should apply the rotation as well, just so it's not upside down. So set the origin point to, yeah, right there. I'll go back to median point. And now we have a bunch of other things here. Sorry, take off that as well. What else do we need? I think I might want to just make a fan blade. I have a feeling that I want to use that. So let's do like 128 subdivisions on that, or vertices, not subdivisions. And let's just bring this in here. There's actually two pieces I want to make. The idea I had going into this and just re-remembered right now is two things. One is like an industrial fan, which I'll make in a second. I'm just going to put a circle there to remember. The second is this kind of thing. I don't know what you call this, but like, well, I actually don't know what you call this at all. So it's this thing. I'll just make it. So let's just do this. With all those loop cuts selected, I'm just going to go to select and then checker, deselect that. And then let's just bring half of those up and leave half of them down. So that looks good right there. I actually want to do this. Let's just grab those two end pieces. That probably makes sense to do as well. Bring those up or down. And then we can probably just go in, take all of these, and then bevel them. So now we have this kind of thing. And I want to put a translucent, like a grungy, translucent shader on that. I think that's going to be nice. I could probably shade it smooth if I want or not. I don't know. Cool. So that's out of the way. Will look nice in combination with this too. And then let's make a fan, like an industrial kind of fan blade, kind of like my first course if you were in that one. Nothing too crazy here, just like a little thing to go around. Let's actually just model one fan blade on its own first. So I'm gonna do this. I don't need to overcomplicate this. So loop cuts, let's just take one of these, turn on proportional editing and make it like sphere. And then we can just kind of morph that into like a more of a blade shape. Maybe I could do something with the ends. I don't know if I need to do that, but maybe just a simple little bevel would be good. If I apply the scale first, bevel that, I don't know, right? Something, just shade it smooth or shade it auto smooth and then just kind of get it out the way. Let's do a bevel on top of all that as well. And it should probably be a little thinner. So maybe let's take all this and just move that without proportional editing in a little bit like that. Seems a bit more reasonable. I don't know if it's gonna need like to be offset sideways in some weird way. I don't know if I want to do that or not. I think I might just leave it square. It looks kind of more interesting and brutal and industrial. So let's move that up in edit mode so that the origin point is in the middle still, just like around there. Scale that up just to fit this. I think I'm gonna shrink that down a little bit as well. Let's just move that, just get that in line. I'm just trying to move it around the origin point. That's why I'm doing it, the little orange dot right there. That's why I'm doing it in edit mode, so I can get it so that the origin point is in the middle, but the fan blade is like on top of that, and that way I can just like rotate this around that central point. Okay, so we can just kind of offset that at like a slight angle. And then I don't know how many I want, maybe 10 to 15. So let's just do like, let's just do a little, we could just Shift D, rotate R in the same action. Let's do like a 30-degree offset and then just hit Shift R a bunch of times to repeat that last action a bunch. So now it's all evenly distributed around in the same way. We can maybe, I probably hit I should have hit Alt D if I want to link these back together. I can actually just select all of them, hit Control L, and then link object data, just like that. Okay, I might just throw a little, well, first of all, let's make this a little bit smaller. And then let me just throw a little cap on the middle just to make this not look so terrible there. Let's do just a 32 or a 64 cylinder, 64 vertices cylinder. Put a little cap on that. It doesn't need to be complicated, right? Just a little thing we can do if we really want. Another cylinder with like some like rivets or nuts on it or something, so we can just do like a, I don't know, 8 vertices cylinder, bring that down, and then like throw that a bunch of times on here. So let's just do that, and then we can just do like some interesting bolt pattern where it's like, I'm kind of just making this up as I go, right? I don't have this fully mapped out, so I'm just trying stuff, right? So just bear with me as I kind of figure this out. So cursor on this one, let's do Alt D, rotate 30 degrees again, and just spam Alt R till we get a circle of those, right? Seems reasonable. Maybe do a little cutout in here and then like another thing like that. Just kind of making this up, but you know, little bevel, and cool. We got something, right? It's not like the craziest thing ever, but it works. Maybe I'll do a little more detail in here. I don't know what to do with this. Maybe just like a little, that's too much. Okay, we'll just leave it. It's fine. Okay, let's just join this all together. I think this should be a little thicker to kind of house that, and then pretty much good to go. I might put like some sort of grate over top of that, or not even, I don't know. We can figure that out later. So let's just, if I want to apply all modifiers, which I don't even know which ones have modifiers here and which don't, to just quickly apply all of them at once, select all this stuff, and then convert it to mesh. That just applies all modifiers for all the selected stuff. We can hit Control J, and we're good to go. One thing that might be useful as well, just because I might want to take this, is all this stuff. So I might actually just select, if I just hit Shift G and then coplanar, all this stuff, and let's just hit P and then, duplicate and then P to separate selection. Okay, so now we got this as another asset as well. So I'm just trying to stack up as many as I can, and that's going to give you the most freedom when I decide to actually start making the scene. So usually I'll do a block out, but in this one I just kind of felt a little more like doing some modeling. So here we are, just doing some really basic modeling. Let's do a little bevel on this too. And let's first of all apply scale, do a little bevel. Cool, good to go on that. Shade smooth. I haven't textured anything yet because I think I mostly just want like an old rust texture on most of this stuff, like a concrete rust texture hybrid or metal rust texture hybrid kind of thing. Figure that out a little bit later, but I think we're good to go on this. So let's get this set up. Before I forget, I want to put a translucent shader on this. So let's start having some fun with the shading. On this one, the reason I'm going to do this is because the main idea that I have is like this sheet being like really soft lighting inside of the factory. So there'd be like sunlight on the outside going through this, which is going to essentially make this a really soft light. And then it can be like tinted a little bit orange. That's going to be coming through here. This is going to be really grungy and like have a lot of dirt on it, but still be translucent and letting some natural light through. So if I go to rendered view here, let's kind of just set this up with that simulation, not simulation, but just that idea in mind. So sun coming from this way, turn it up, and let's figure this out. So the way I usually do translucent is I might do an add shader here and just add this to a translucent, or maybe I could just not even do that. I think we're overcomplicating it. Let's just do a translucent by itself and plug that in. And you can see so we don't have a diffuse now. So this is why I like doing the add shader here. So we have the diffuse, we'll do an add shader and then add the translucent in here, right? Okay, so we have kind of both combined now. So we have diffuse and translucent. So we have like really soft light coming through there. If I make this like a bit tinted orange, you're gonna see that's kind of the setup that I want. Like this is gonna be tinted orange because of the dirt on it, essentially. So I need to find a texture that I can put on here with like a grungy kind of surface. Let me just go and find that really quick. Okay, I might just take some textures from Polyhaven. So you can get all these for free from their website. I'm just using their add-on here. So I think I'm just going to use one of the metal textures here. I'll just try this out on a plane here. I think maybe one of these ones will probably work as a base layer, and then I'll just see what else I can find to maybe combine with this if I need to. Let me just start by getting this one on these models, and we'll just kind of see where that goes and what it looks like. So I'm going to take the displacement off. I do not want that. And then let me just put that on all of these to start, or at least some of them. So this one will probably want it. So I'm going to hit Control L to link material. Let's just apply the scale and then just do a cube projection. So I just have right clicked this and assigned it to my quick favorites. So I can just hit Q and then do cube projection there. So that's all I'm doing when I hit that. I might also switch this texture to 4K. I like to have my textures at least in 2K if it's kind of going to be a main thing. So one thing with this is it's cube projecting the same pattern all the way down. So I might actually try a different unwrap method. Let's maybe just do a smart UV project. So we'll just do that, and then it'll probably do a better job with getting it more randomized. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. I might make this a little more metallic and then also a little bit darker with just a curves node. And that's kind of more like what I want. So we can just kind of get that on these here. So I'm just going to hit Control L, link material. I can just go in here and then probably just cube project them. I could do a proper unwrap, but you might not even see it. So maybe on one side of these I could do some seams or something, but to be honest, I don't think it's gonna need it. I might just do that, and you're probably not gonna see it at all. So that's gonna be my strategy unless it really needs to change. Same thing with these, link material. And I'm gonna go kind of quick here because I wanna get this done actually. These I can definitely cube project, and I'll just scale them up by 3 or 4 maybe. It's looking good. Same thing here, I can probably put the same material on it, to be honest. Apply scale. Do I need to unwrap that with a cube project? Yeah, we'll just do a cube project on that as well. Looks fine, to be honest. I may need a different material for that, but let's just get that started with that, and then if I need to change it, I'll change it. I just want to bring your attention to something really quick. When I first started Blender, one of my main goals was to make cyberpunk and urban street renders like this here, and I always found it really tough to get the look that I wanted, and it took me a long time of just trying a whole bunch of different things, literally years of just trial and error to finally get the look that I wanted. So it's very fulfilling to me now that I get to actually make the kinds of renders that I've always wanted to and have it look the way I actually want. So I've put all of that information that I learned over the past 5 years or so into this new Cyber Environments course. So that'll teach you how to make these 4 renders from scratch here. This also comes with, tons of asset packs, including buildings, people, industrial assets, a whole cyberpunk asset pack, stuff that I don't really use in my videos or really show that often. So actually hundreds of people have been going through that, and I'm very happy and very impressed, to be honest, with the results that people have been getting. I'll put some of them up here so you can see some of my favorites. So it's really, really great to see that. And this also comes with a 30-day refund policy. So if you watch all the content, download everything, try it all out, whatever, you can literally get a full refund. If you decide it wasn't worth it for you, you got a month to do that. So I'd recommend at least trying it out. So yeah, link below to the cyber course. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Okay, what I might try for this one is, let's just go to the shader editor over here. You can ignore this viewport for now as well. I'm just gonna take the base color from this map, right click and copy that. And then let's go to this guy over here, the translucent thing, and let's just paste it onto here, and let's just see if I can do this. If I just take this and run this into the base color, we need to also cube project that. So that's kind of doing that. I might also have to do this and unplug it from here. I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do with this. Maybe I'll take that and do a mix color and just kind of feed that into itself, like as the mix factor, and then just use a color ramp to just kind of adjust where this comes in exactly. I might actually do that on both of these. Whoops. So we got the translucent. Let's actually plug that into here as well. And then I can kind of control that a little bit better, make that a little bit more rough of a kind of shape, or like a, you know what I mean? Or not though, maybe I could just leave it, to be honest. I might just leave it. Maybe it doesn't need any of this. Maybe it's just fine how it is. So we could just try that and just kind of leave it like that, I guess. It's probably fine, to be honest. So we'll just kind of leave that like that for now. Maybe I'll just do a mix color and just mix in a little bit of some orange. That might just be all it needs, maybe. A little bit of that. And then just kind of, let's do that on the translucent as well. So I'll just put that before both. And then let's make that a little bit more orange. Like that kind of color, maybe. Not quite that orange, a little bit more yellow, like right there. That's kind of what I wanted. All right, so then this we can use as like a window light, sort of. All right, so let's start getting a scene set up here. I kind of want to try something like this, where we do an array of these both ways. So I'm just going to do a X and Y array, like 8 of them in a row. And then I'm going to apply these. Actually, let's not do an array. Let's do this. Let's just Alt D this guy over here and just line it up. I'll leave a little bit of a gap. And then same thing this way. And then I'll just hit Shift R a bunch of times. And then now we just have that in a row. And now I kind of want to do like a randomized transform on here. This is kind of like in that Destiny thing I was watching, there was a bridge like this. So I kind of just want to try this. So either randomize transform or just manually randomize it. But I I think randomize transform will be maybe a good way to do this. So we'll just go up to object transform, randomize transform. Just bring that up here, and let's just do rotation. A little bit of rotation. Yeah, just like that. And that's pretty cool. And maybe we can make this a little bit more cohesive here. I think the Z rotation was a little bit much there, but it's all right. Just gonna straighten that out a little bit. Cool. Let's start putting some handrails on too. So handrail can go there, rotate that. Doesn't need to line up perfectly or anything. In fact, I might have this off the edge a little bit and do like an underneath section. I think that this would be cool if I had like some pipes underneath this. So let's try putting just like a cube here down like this and have like some underneath section on here. And I might just delete half of this and then do a mirror modifier on that. And then just kind of have like a little thing containing it like this. And that can be a little something. And that'll just go the whole length of it. Again, I'm just sort of figuring this out as I'm going. I think it would be cool to have probably like more of an opening though. So maybe I'll just do some like loop cuts here. In fact, let's do this. Let's actually just array this. So let's shrink that down and then let's do an array. This way, nope, sorry, this way. 0 and then like 2 on this, 2 or 3. And then we'll just do like a bunch of those. Yeah, and then that's gonna be like what's containing I'll probably put some pipes and stuff in here. In fact, if I go to my assets over here, we have a bunch of pipes that I've already made. So I'll leave a link to this below. It's just my free pipes pack. I think that'll fit well here probably. Just have to find it. Sci-fi, my stuff. No, not this folder. Industrial assets. Here we go. So yeah, I will link this pipes pack below. This is just a bunch of like stuff I made that works really well in industrial render. So I'm going to use some of these and just kind of get this going here. So I want some of these, and I also want some longer ones kind of going the length of this. So let's put some of those in here as well. So let's just get that, just like a mess of pipes going all over the place. I think that's going to work really well. Rotate this 180 degrees this way and just kind of get that in here. Now, this is a little bit too uneven, like a little bit more uneven than I want, but it's not really a problem. And it's okay if all this stuff is like overlapping and not really making too much sense. You're not really going to see this stuff. So it's okay if it like doesn't actually make sense what is even happening at all here. Just needs to look kind of like a mess of stuff underneath here that you're barely gonna see. So I'm okay to just kind of do that. And I think we're good. Sweet. So you'll kind of see it from this angle. So that's perfect. Let's extend this way a little bit just for something to sit on here. It's not ideal with these here, so maybe I'll just kind of like, let's just move those, I guess. GY, just kind of move it over to there. I'll just kind of just do it like that. That's probably fine. Let's maybe make that a little bit more even. All right, that looks roughly right. And then let's just duplicate that a couple of times with Alt-D. I'm pressing Alt-D because I want it to be a linked duplicate so that any change I make to one with the texture or whatever, it'll update on all of them. It's Alt-D that to the other side as well. This needs a little bit more work. You're probably not going to see this at all, so I'm not actually that concerned with it. So we'll just do a little thing like that. Throw on a bevel, a very small bevel. And then let's bring that back a little bit. And it should probably be a little bit thicker and a little bit less offset here. And I'll just try and line this up so that it's like the same kind of spacing on all that, just so it's lining up with all these things here. And like that seems about right there, hopefully. Okay, cool. And I think that's probably going to be good for that one. This needs a rust texture as well, so we'll link material on that. Cube project it. And let's just check on what we've done here. That looks really nice, actually. I like that a lot. Sweet. Okay, so that's going to be the main walkway. I think I'll join this together, and I'll also just move a couple of these off to the side as a duplicated item, just so that I have a couple more pieces to work with as I go along. And when I'm ready to like, you know, if I want to reach for more stuff, that's just interesting pieces to work with, I have all this stuff on the side that I can easily pull from. Okay, so let's start getting this set up here. Let's go to solid view over here and rendered view down here, and let's start getting our camera positioned. I might join that together, or I might just leave it for now. So let's zoom out to 24 millimeters. It's a good starting focal length, fairly wide, but not too wide. And just get that kind of like right there. Maybe I'll have a different piece in the foreground to cover that up. I'm not sure. But I think a cool walkway is going to be a good starting place right there. So that's nice. This may need a bevel. I'm not sure. We'll have to just kind of try that out and see. And this is definitely in 4K, so that's good. I think this should probably have a bevel, so I'm just going to do that really quick. Bevel like a tiny amount, like literally that much, to where you can barely see it. Just so there's something on it, like maybe 0.0025. And then I'm going to select all these other guys, and then just hit Control L and then link copy modifiers right here, copy modifiers. And now they all have that same 0.0025 bevel on them. Okay, sweet. Let's try and get a sort of factory set up here. I do want some pillars, so I'm just going to quickly make that. I want something like this on the side, maybe something with like a bit like flaring out on the top, so we could just do like either extrude a thing, or just like, I think this will be a good shape, like that kind of thing, like that. And then maybe let's just do a mirror modifier so that it's same on top and bottom. So I'm just going kind of fast here because I want to get this done, but turn on clipping, delete that face, grab this open thing here and just slam it together so it's now mirrored. We can apply that and then set the origin to the bottom somewhere right around there. Cool. Should probably get a concrete texture on that, so maybe let's just find a concrete material in Polyhaven. So textures, I'll just search, not texture, search concrete, or actually there's a whole category of concrete in here, I think. Plaster concrete. Yeah, so something in here should work. So maybe like damaged pillar, I don't know. Let's check that out. Just apply scale, cube, project it, scale it up on the UV editor. Kind of cool to have the brick showing, but I don't know if I really want that. So maybe just a more basic concrete would be better. Like that seems a bit more reasonable. So we'll just bevel that, apply scale, and let's just get a very small bevel on there. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit. I want pretty sharp corners on this one. And that'll be nice to have as well. If I want, I could try and mix in this rust texture. This is a little too metallic. I think I'm gonna decrease the metallic on that and just drop the brightness a little bit more. Let's take this base color from the rust and let's paste that into this concrete material. I also have to remember to disconnect the displacement because I do not want that. Otherwise you'll get black lines showing up on the seams there. So we'll take that out. And let's take a mix color on this and plug the rust into this, and I'll plug it into the mix factor as well. And I'll take a color ramp, and just switch that maybe to constant, and then just kind of bring that in certain areas. Like I think, yeah, that's pretty cool, having just a bit of rust showing up, almost like a noise texture. And then I might just drop the hue and saturation of that. So let's drop a hue saturation into where that concrete, or that rust thing is getting mixed in here. And I'm going to drop the brightness of that and the saturation of that a little bit as well. And I think that's a lot nicer. So that's pretty ideal right there. I like that a lot. Could also use a noise texture as the mix factor, but just using the texture itself also works. So I'll do that. And now it's a bit more interesting. Sweet. So now we have a lot of stuff to work with. This might be a better texture for these guys as well, or some pipes or something. I don't know. Okay, so let's get this actually in here. Let's do an array and just get this, what is it, this way. Let's do like an 8 or 12 offset just to get it kind of spaced out, maybe a little bit less, 8, and then do 3 or 4 of them going this way. I don't want to be in rendered view here because I have to remember to look down here now. So we'll get that kind of in here. I want this to be a little bit elevated, so maybe I'll do you see how the texture is stretching when I move this around? If I turn on correct face attributes in edit mode up here, that will no longer happen. So that's really nice to just be able to move that around. I'm also going to just delete that loop cut. And did I forget to turn on screencast keys? Sorry. Oh, I guess it just wasn't showing up. Okay, well, there it is. Let's get that right here. Let's get one of those over here. And then I think maybe one more set of those over here. And then I just kind of have a vision of what I want, or just an idea. And I want like wall here connected to this, or just outside that, coming down like this, extruding a little thing, coming down like this across, and then let's just mirror that. So mirror on the Z axis. I'm gonna actually do an cube or an empty or something, or just a plane in the middle, and we can actually mirror off of that on the X axis. There we go. Turn on clipping, round that together, and then like we can just kind of do this. And then I'm gonna make some cuts for the windows, which I want somewhere over here. So we can probably just do like maybe some actual factory kind of windows would be interesting. So maybe I'll just extrude that, and then we can like subdivide this a bunch of times, and then we'll just do like that, like a little inset, a little extrude, a little inset again, a little extrude again, and that's going to be kind of my window setup. This can be like, I might replace that actually. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. Maybe this side can have it and this side can be the other one. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Or we can have the windows there, and then just have like that other panel thing that I liked as a like an over top kind of thing like here. That could be cool too. So we'll just have to kind of figure out the placement of all this stuff, but that's the idea. All right, let's just keep turning this into an actual scene. So I don't know what I want to do with this. Maybe extrude it in this and do kind of a similar shape up this way. Maybe that would be a good spot for these panels too. So I can go there, and then I'll just extrude that and just connect it up in the middle, just like that. Sweet. So I do want a hallway, open space, factory, but still kind of contained in this zone. We could probably array that this way as well, at least one more time. I'm gonna get, if I just select all this with Shift G and then coplanar, I'm gonna just get a basic glass material on that. So first of all, everything here can probably get the concrete, so link material, and then on just these parts here, we'll make a new slot, assign it, make a new texture, and I'll just make this metallic up, roughness 0, alpha down a bit or a lot, and that'll let some natural light in. We can do an HDRI or something else, I don't know. This whole thing, cube, project that whole thing at once, and just scale that way up on the UV editor, just till it looks sort of like, you're not really gonna see this too much in the render, I think, so anything like that is gonna be okay. Maybe a little bit less so it's not as repeated. And then let's just kind of see here. What do we want to do with this? I might not even want to see this entire side. The idea that I kind of had was like this. I want like some factory stuff over here where it's kind of just like, I'll just do an array upwards on this guy. Just like factory nonsense happening over here with some like fan blades and interesting stuff on that side. I think that would just be nice to have like here. So we'll just do some of those. Let's take the fan blade and like put that over here too. So I'm just gonna drop that in like right here. I think it would be nice to like see that a little bit. So maybe we could do a side angle like this, bring that up a little bit more, get this out of the way, turn off gizmos. And then let's get the fan blade either backlit or not, like with some direct sun maybe. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to see that right now. I want that to be more like prominent. So maybe I can take all of these and like Control L and like, I don't know, like scale this up on the local Y or Z or something. That might work. And rotate on the local, I don't know. I'm not sure. That seems correct though. Let's go Shift G, coplanar, take all this, bring that out a little bit, scale it up a little bit on, sorry, median point. Just gonna get that more like there. And I don't know, it's something. We'll make it work later. I just want to get this kind of blocked out a bit more. So more fan blades, yay. Get that in there. I think I might want to maybe cover that up. We could do like a square surface with like a boolean going through there. I don't know. I do want a little bit more space here though. So let's take all this, deselect those pillars, just move that over a little bit where there's a little bit more separation. So it feels like you could fall off the edge if you were to go near this thing to like across the railing. And then I don't know where I want to put this stuff. So it's a little bit tricky. Maybe we just have to go wider angle, bring that in here, and then have this like over here like this. I'm not sure, like maybe that just has to kind of go in front of this. Like let's just try this. Let's just start setting this up. So I'll just put this here and then maybe start shining some really bright lights at it and just kind of see where it goes. So let's do that. Array upwards, -1. And then we'll do like another array going left to right. So also it's also hard to see, so I'm going to zoom out the viewport camera. So underneath view, you can just zoom that out to like 35 millimeters just to be able to see a bit more easily here. Okay, so that's going to move over to like right there. And then we'll just do, sorry, not that, this. That ratio is not quite right. Just like right somewhere there. That's like close enough to what I wanted. Okay, so that's kind of cool because then we get the, it's a little bit much, but it is a little bit cool to get like the light coming through the windows, hitting that, getting like dispersed even more, and then it's like, I don't know, could work. Maybe let's just make the sun very soft too. I think that'll look better on these shadows. Make it really bright, and then let's just keep going here. Ooh, that sunlight coming through here is really nice as well. It's actually kind of cool. I might make this like 25. Just a really bright sun. And I don't know if this is the proper use of these things, but it looks cool, so I'm just gonna run with it. I could try disabling shadow. I feel like that's gonna look a little unnatural though, but I'm just not quite getting enough light coming through here. Maybe that's the light paths like underneath here. Maybe we need to turn up the transparent bounces or diffuse bounces, or maybe just try full global illumination. I don't know if that's even doing what I want. I like this. This is good. Let's maybe get some more like just railings and stuff going on here. You know what I might do is take this whole cluster of stuff here that I like, deselect everything kind of around it just so I don't accidentally grab anything. Let's duplicate that. Let's unlink all these just in case there's any linked duplicates, which I think there are. So object, relations, make single user, object and data. I have also added this as a shortcut so I can just hit Q to my quick favorites menu and then hit that object and data setting right there. And then now I can actually just convert to mesh to apply all modifiers at once. And then we'll just join that together and just apply scale, shade, auto smooth. It's not going to be ideal for the railings, but it's all right. And then we can just start putting that in here. I don't love that texture on this one. I might swap that out. So let's just go in here. I probably should have done this before I joined it together. So I'm going to hit Shift G, material. Let's go to the object shader editor. And let's just take this and let's just swap it to the rusty metal. And that's just doing a lot more what I like. So that's better. Okay, cool. Less just harsh to look at. That we can just throw down on top of here. And that looks really nice there. I'll try to line this up. That actually lines up pretty well with those pillars there, so that works. Not complaining about that. Maybe I'll just move that back one just so that it looks like it makes a little more sense there. So that's nice. That lines up. Didn't plan that, but it works. We can do the same thing on this side over here too. And that'll just kind of help make that feel a little more complete. There's some random stuff hanging out here. I could go in and fix that. I might just leave it though because it might look cool. Maybe I'll leave it hanging out a little bit. Like, I don't know, right? As long as it doesn't look like an obvious mistake, it's okay. And then what do we want to do here? Do we want to do just double this up? Could try that. Just bring that up there. These guys I might just move further out. There's this affect only locations setting right here. That means I can actually just go to median point and then scale that up without actually scaling it by it'll just move it. So I can have that like wherever, you can't even really see it, but it's in there. And then maybe Alt D, duplicate this guy over here. I love this platform. I'm going to save that for later as well. It's just such a nice, handy thing to have for a scene like this platform. Love that. So that's really good. Let's duplicate that one more time, actually down here. Just put that in the middle and just have this extend now. It's not lining up perfectly, but you can't really see, so it's not really an issue. Just kind of leave that where it is. And yeah, this really does remind me of that scene in Destiny where they're going through the factory. Let's see if I can make these fit in a bit better. Let's turn off effect on the locations too. So either by just, yeah, scaling it up, SX2, just scale it up by 2 on the x-axis. I don't know. Ooh, that looks really cool, just poking out there like that, seeing like the top half of that. Let's also do this. Ooh, that's not good. Let's just take this, S, Shift X, just make that outer rim a lot thicker. That looks really cool. I really like that a lot. If we want, I could go in and like do some detail here, you know, extrude some little thing, do another one, extrude that out a little bit, Control plus, and then like move that to a different part of the UV map. I don't know if I really want to do that though. That's a little bit, maybe let's just go Shift G coplanar. It's not grabbing what I want, so I'm going to decrease the threshold. And then we could go into edge select mode and bevel that. But I don't really like that, so I might just undo that. So let's not do that. I like it, something there. I want something, but I don't like this. So maybe I should do that, or bring it in and then have like another loop or something, or like another I don't know, like let's maybe duplicate this, bring this this way, Shift D, S, Shift X, take those, fill it with a face. Sorry, no, we have to bridge those with a bridge edge loops, extrude that, Control L to select linked, and then just kind of put that here. I'm doing this all in edit mode, which is not recommended, but you can. And then I don't know, like do that kind of works, because there's just too hard to look at that there without a solid divider there. So maybe that, and then cube project it and just kind of like do that. I don't know, that kind of looks cool, so could run with that. I might throw on a bevel just onto this entire thing, just see if that helps smooth it out, which kind of does. And then yeah, is this a problem? Yeah, that is. You can see that clip into the wall there, so just move that over one. Yeah, that works. And then maybe just do another one there until you can't see it anymore. Sweet. That looks really nice. I love the color scheme right now. I think it'll look nice with maybe some blue or some teal panels or something, or in the color grading, add some blue into the shadows or something like that. But just a minor amount of blue or white or light desaturated blue would be nice. Just, you know, an opposing color, but not a 50-50 split, just a tiny bit of it would be good. Like I wonder, even wires, containers, text, you know, a sign that's blue, anything like that that's like just light teal would be really nice here, I think. So I might try and get something like that in a little bit later. Maybe pipes even, like we could try this, making this well, first of all, this actually looks good in here somewhere, so maybe let's just start throwing more pipes in and just see if I can kind of fill this with some detail that isn't too obvious that it's just a little bit nonsense. So let's just get that in here, rotate this 90 degrees. Maybe let's just array this. Like when in doubt, just start arraying stuff and just kind of hope that that works. Okay, cool. Alt D. Can you even see that? Not really. Maybe bring that one out a little bit. Maybe this could be blue. Let's just try making this like a metallic blue. Let's go to the asset browser and let's just grab inside metal. Is there... you know what I might do just to reuse the same thing, just to... I really like reusing the same materials a lot, or same image textures in the same scene a lot, because I'm familiar with it and I know how it's going to work. This will work, so let's just copy this and let's make a paint texture out of this. So let's just start from scratch, paste in that same rust metal diffuse image that we copied from the very first rust texture. And let's do like that teal blue, which you can't even see because of the light right now, so I might have to fix the lighting. So we'll deal with that later. I might take a mixed color, and I'm actually just going to copy and paste that color into there like that. You can actually just hit Control C, Control V. So I'm going to do that to slot A, that to slot B, blue. This is the mix factor. That goes to the mix color. I can actually just probably take the same color ramp from here, copy, paste that into where it goes to the mix factor. And I guess I should do it like that. This is all stretched out, it looks like, on, what is that? On this piece. So I might have to, oh, it looks like that didn't get unwrapped. Whoops. Let's mark a seam there and then just unwrap angle based. Looks all right. Looks like I missed a couple spots here. Is that here? Where is that? Oh, no, that's fine. Okay, I think we're good there. And then, yeah, let's fix the lighting. This is just too orange. It's just a little, let's just desaturate this. See, I don't know how to make this. Let's try this. Let's try a transparent shader here. This might not do anything. This might just be pointless, but let's just try it anyway. So this is going to go here, block out all the sun, except for maybe this. I like this not super orange here. So we'll try this. New material on that. Delete this. Sorry, not that. That's muscle memory, just doing that. Transparent BSDF. Plug that in. It's doing nothing right now. I want to just make this orange. So that's doing the same thing as it was before, but maybe I can control it a bit better by doing this, or I don't know. What if I did that and then made this light desaturated and then only had that like past there? What if I did that? Let's see. We could let a bit more natural light in here as well. Yeah, I don't love that, but I also don't hate it. Maybe this can come down a little, or like I like the orange, but then this is becoming too orange. So I don't know what to do about that. Like, yeah, not sure. Maybe this is just the wrong color. Like, maybe it needs to be higher roughness or higher specular, or this should just be brighter and more saturated. But I don't like how saturated that is. But I don't like how orange it gets when it's not blue. So, gosh, I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one, but maybe it's fine how it is. Like maybe I'm just worrying about nothing, you know. Let's get that in here as well. I might swap that out for a different model, or it's also here as well. Let's maybe put that material on this one too, and then just get that kind of slotted in there. Like, I don't know, right? Whatever, something. Get this guy up here maybe. I don't really know what else to do at this point. I'm a little bit stuck right now. So maybe I'll just start throwing in some random pipes and stuff. So let's get this guy in here, rotate that 90 degrees this way, and just kind of like, I don't know, throw in like a pipe thing. Maybe get some more of these, rotate them this way though, and then make them a bit smaller and do more arrays. So that can go just like as an extra thing in there somewhere, just for some more complexity up here. So I'm just kind of trying to fill empty space right now. It's my main concern. So that kind of works. This has the concrete material, right? No, it doesn't. It has the rust. But maybe that's okay. I'm going to do one of those over here. You can't really see that either, but maybe once I get more lighting, more interesting lighting happening, you'll be able to see that. This also looks kind of good here. So maybe I'll have one of those either across or down or here, bigger, or probably bigger would be nicer. So let me try a few of these. Maybe that could go on the other side too, like that. Maybe just these, like maybe let's just try one of these. Array. How is that even doing that? What the? Okay, let's apply rotation and then do that. Okay, cool. And then I want it going up. Yeah. So 0 this way. No, come on. There we go. Okay, so 3 of those up, and then that can be kind of repeated, or maybe just used in certain sections to just make certain, like, control it really well with just some of these little things getting this thing in the way. Like, I don't know. Ooh, that looks really cool right there, having like a partial shadow on that. For some reason, that just looks really nice. So I like that. So maybe do another one down here. And I'll try to get that like same interesting like partial shadow showing up. So maybe let's just, which one is that? This one? Let's bring that back a little bit and do the same thing right there. Yeah, that looks really nice. For some reason, that just works super well there. I should also try to not have this repeating too much because you can see repetition there. So like maybe I gotta just, I don't know. It's not a huge deal. I can figure that out later. I will show you a cool trick to make wires. I might just do a single vertex by adding a cube and merging all vertices at center. So now we have, if I just go to vertex select mode, we have one vertex, which is a little bit hard to see. I'm going to extrude that like this. I'm basically just working with this little line. And then we can start just extruding this all over the place. And just kind of go crazy with like making this like a little interesting thing. And then just put that back in like that. We can take this, Control Shift B, and bevel this. And then we can right click, convert to curve, bevel the curve, and then either double it up or put it on another thing or just leave it as one. Let's put the rust texture on that. And just a little detail like that really goes a long way to just make it feel so much more detailed and just cool to look at. So let's just convert that back to a mesh. So convert to mesh. The texture is not looking good, so I'm going to shade smooth. It's cube projected. It's so small you won't even see it, so that's fine there. I want to line this up where it's actually sitting against the wall a little bit more like this. Yeah, like that. That's really nice. For some reason, that just hits really hard. This little wire. So I want to like partially in, partially out. I don't know. We could maybe have it like flipped the other way where it's like this. I'm obsessing over like a wire, so it's not that big of a deal. So just get that in somewhere and then kind of just move on. I do want to squeeze that in a little bit more this way, like that. Yeah. The shadow's a little bit too much, so I'm just going to force that in inside a little bit. So something like that. And then let's maybe do another one, like 2 of them down. We can have one. And just like move that over. You're not really going to see that at all, but just put it in there just in case you zoom in and you can see it. Something is weird here too. I think this is maybe Something's like blocking the light a little bit too much. I guess it's one of these. Whatever, it's not a big deal. Let's do that on one of these down here as well. Yeah, that looks really nice there. Just helping to break up the pattern a little bit if I can. I'm obsessing too much over little details, so let's not worry too much about that. Let's bring in some wires. In my last video, I showed how to make wires. Was it my last video? The one with the sci-fi triangle, like reflective thing. I'll put an image up of what that video was, but I showed how to make wires. You just add a Bezier curve, fold it over itself a couple of times, and you got some wires. I'm just gonna delete this right here. I don't like that. Okay, cool. Let's get some of those in here. I don't want them too thick. I want them like extended this way. Like I love just scaling them up like that and making them really long and thin to just go like across like this. I don't like these really overly thick wires that you see where it's like this, just like a bunch of those. Like I don't like that, so just gonna try and avoid that. Although it does look kind of cool having one or two of those going through here. I would rather have like one really thin one hanging down though, like doing this. I'm also gonna get rid of that red. I don't like that red, so I'd much rather see like this kind of thing, where it's like one or two really thin ones going down. In fact, I might make this thinner by grabbing this and going Alt S, shrinking that down. This one too, Alt S, just to make it really thin. And then let's make the red. Let's make that black. That's too bright and like too much there. Red, just make it black. All right, cool. And then let's maybe shrink it down like this way, or I don't know, right? Maybe push that a little bit further back this way, or I don't really know what I'm doing with that, but it looks kind of cool there, so we're just gonna leave it. Maybe one or two of them can be like just going across a little haywire, like that. Maybe I might even just take like Control L, grab one of these, Control L, Shift D, separate by selection, just delete that, and then just take one of them, like one very thin wire that's like repeated a couple of times. That might be really nice. I can't even see it in the viewport, but I think in the render you will see that. Yeah, you can see it going across there. Very unintrusive, but it's gonna look nice, I think. So just a couple of those I think will be good. Maybe rotate one a little bit more like that way. It's a little too close. Maybe put one there. Duplicate these. I'm also gonna move these to a collection. Call it wires. And let's just duplicate that upwards. And yeah, sweet, okay. Okay, so far I'm very happy with this. I'm gonna do a test render just to see where we're at. Just to kind of assess this from, whoops. Just to kind of assess this from when it's actually rendered out. I might just try a couple things with the lighting before I do that though, just to see, oops, not that. Where did my area light go? Let's put an area light in here. Let's just see what happens if I have that like up here, or make it like a bit blue, not too blue, but just like very slightly blue. Like that might be cool. Like a daylight natural color I think is gonna work best if I do this. So I'm not even sure if I'm gonna keep this, but let's just try it like down here. It's a little bit much there, like just a little bit of that up there is kind of nice. So I definitely don't mind that. I think I'll leave that there. Cool. Maybe scale it up, maybe not. I don't know. Try that out. Let's just take a quick look at how this looks in rendered, once it's actually rendered out. So we'll just do 4,000 by 5,000, 50% resolution for a test. Like you can do whatever samples you want, 50, 100 samples, just really low, just for a quick test. I'll do a couple volume light bounces because it'll make it a little softer. And that's pretty much all I need to worry about for this. I think I left that spotlight on by accident. Let's go and turn that off just so I can see what this looks like, how I actually intended. Yeah, the spotlight is on. Let's just remove that. And then we'll take a look at how this is looking. You see how much that just ruined the image too, having that spotlight in there? Because it was lighting up areas that I hadn't worked on or just were not good. Whereas if I just keep that stuff in the dark, it looks fine. Like if you just hide the bad stuff in darkness, that's a very good strategy to make it look better. One thing I may try, which could be a bad idea, but I'm going to try it, is to adjust the roughness on these pillars, on this concrete texture. So I might try this. Let's just go to this texture. Wherever is going to the roughness, I'm going to take a color ramp and just start doing this. And I'll try and get it to look wet and damp. So you can control shift click on it to see kind of what you're doing with this. So I want like some parts dry and then some parts really reflective and wet and damp. So it's not making too big of a difference there, but it is over here, like especially right there. That's kind of nice to have that showing up a little bit more like that. This is gonna be probably not a good idea, but I'm just gonna try putting that there. Let's see, I don't like that. If I really want to try this, I could try doing that, but again, I don't think that's gonna be a good idea. It's more of a floor texture kind of technique, so let's not do that there. But yeah, I don't mind that. It's kind of cool. Could try the same thing on the rust texture, so just crunch this really hard and just kind of see if that is doing what I want. Whoops, delete that one. See, this is why I don't love Polyhaven textures, is like when you start abusing the roughness map, it just doesn't quite hold up to what you'd want. So I feel like it could be a little bit higher quality, but whatever. I'm going to take a quick break and just come back when I'm a little bit more refreshed. Okay, so by this point, the scene was maybe 80% done. And there's another like 45 minutes in the recording after this of me just taking it from this 80% finish to the final result here. So there's actually quite a big difference, I would say, in terms of the level of the render of this point here versus the end result. But it's all just me moving basic things around. I moved the camera angle slightly and brought in a bunch of free assets from Polyhaven. So they have a bunch of like, they had a bunch of electrical boxes and ladders and a couple stairs and stuff like that, racks and whatever, that I could throw in here that just elevated everything a little bit more, just with some nicely made, pre-made models. That just helps bring it to life. But yeah, at this point, it's really easy to get it to the next level if you have a bunch of models in the scene already. So I'm just duplicating the railings, the platforms, the pillars, the stuff I've already made, and just reusing that in slightly different ways, and it's just helping fill in the detail. The reason I made these different assets at the beginning is because these are things that can be easily reused a bunch of times without feeling too repeated. Like if you see the same railing over and over again, it's not going to trigger you to think, oh, it's duplicated. It's just in a factory setting, it makes sense to see repeating objects like a repeated railing or something like that. It doesn't make it feel CG. So that's what I'm doing at the beginning, is making easily repeatable assets that are going to make it a lot easier later on to just fill in detail quickly by just duplicating that stuff as much as I can. And then if there is too much repetition, like I said, that's where it becomes very helpful to bring in some pre-made models. Just basic free stuff from Polyhaven does a great job, like those electrical boxes, or making some unique assets on my own, like those wires or whatever. All that stuff helps to just fill in the gaps, and where it gets too repeated and too basic, throwing on some more complex models into those areas can really help elevate it to just feeling more lifelike and natural overall. So yeah, I highly recommend that. If when you get to that part of the render where it gets really tough to just figure out where to go, try moving the camera angle if you can. That often helps. If the lighting isn't right, try adjusting the lighting. Try redoing the lighting and doing it from scratch again. Save a copy of it and just build up the lighting again from scratch that can completely transform the scene. And then another thing is just when it gets to the point where it just feels like not quite there, try bringing in some just some props. Like I brought in like paint cans and other stuff like that, and it just helped like bring the whole scene to life a lot more. Doesn't seem like a big difference, but you really feel it in the end. Again, link below to this blend file if you want to just download it. You can use all the assets in there for pretty much whatever you want. You just can't redistribute them. So if you want to use them in your own work, you can go and do that. But mostly I'd recommend that if you want to get a better understanding of how a scene like this comes together and just see it for yourself. Something different happens when you're actually exploring it and looking around yourself rather than just watching a video of it. I personally have found that very helpful for getting a better understanding of how other people are making their renders, and it's actually given me a lot of confidence in my own work looking through other people's blend files, because you realize it's not as impressive or technically good as it looks in the render. When you start poking around in the blend file, you'll start to see a lot of things that seem like they shouldn't work, but they do from the specific angle they've chosen. And you can see how all the details just in the just the areas that they need to be, and things are really not as good as they look in the final render. And you might find it very helpful to just go and look around, even if you understand how it was all made. So I really do recommend that, even if you kind of understand what's going on, even all of it here, just looking around there can really help you get a better understanding of someone else's workflow, and it can help you in your own work a lot. So it's free. There's a link below if you want it. If you're looking for paid courses and just the most help that you can possibly get from me, the best asset packs and tools and the most stuff that I can possibly give you for your own environments, I recommend you go and check out the Cyber Environments course. I'll leave that below as well. That one is for if you want to learn how to make, it translates to a lot of different environments, but it's focused around urban and, street and cyberpunk renders. So that'll teach you how to make these renders here from scratch on your own. We're going to go over, creating the buildings and the streets and lighting it all up, and a whole bunch of different techniques for just bringing the city to life or bringing different urban environments to life. And just there's a lot of focus on composition there too, and just things you can do to make the shot look better overall. So if you're interested in just what's the best thing I can give you, that is my number one recommendation, is go check out the Cyber Environments course. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was very helpful for you. Hopefully you learned a lot in just watching me make this from scratch, and I'll see you in some other video.